and welcome to the Across the Pod NFL podcast. It's time for another NFL game review as we now are approaching game week 6 territory. I am your host, Andy Davis, and I'm this week joined by guests that I was meant to be going to yesterday's game with in London, but sadly, not really sadly, it's a good thing, obviously, because of the press pass opportunity I got, I can no longer sit in that seat. So yeah, missed a chance to meet him first time in person, but he's a regular guest on this podcast. With me today is Tom Morton. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, mate. Thanks for having me. I'll try not to be too salty that you ditched me for Danny Rick, but that's fine.
Well, it turns out I didn't only ditch you, I ditched a lot of people's wives and girlfriends. Obviously, we talked off camera about the fact that I was literally had Danny Ricciardo behind me the whole game. Even got a picture of him, as some of you may have seen on my Instagram. But you, Tom, had wives and girlfriends galore sitting by your family and all sorts. So tell the audience just who was by you in your seat.
Yeah, no. So we were sat two rows behind none other than Mrs. Marissa Lawrence, and here we are, a visual aid. I don't know if you can see me top corner on her Instagram
Yeah.
story. So I'm now famous across the world. Who else we had? We had Christian Kirk's family, mum, dad, Mrs. All of that. My mate actually took photos for them and stuff like that. Who else we had? With Jamal Agnew's Mrs. Robertson Harris's Mrs. And we also sat behind and talking to Jamal Agnew's brother as well. We only just figured out it was Jamal Agnew's brother after my mate had been slagging him off for fumbling the ball against KC last year. So yeah, he turned around and said, that's his brother. And I was like, oh, did he hear you slagging him off? I was like, no, shh.
Yeah. Wow, yeah. I mean, huge thank you to Luke Campbell, friend of the podcast, who originally supplied us with a ticket. So yeah, huge thank you to Luke to hooking us up with those tickets. I mean, yeah, the seat was incredible. I don't believe we were too far from each other. I think you were to the right of the 15, I was to the left. So I think we were pretty close without even realising.
Yeah, no. It was literally in line with the 30-yard line, sort of towards the big stand at Tottenham. So it was really, really good seat. So you could see everything. It's as close as I'd ever been. So it's the best experience I think I've had at a London game. Definitely, maybe apart from the Giants winning last year, but
Oh, cool. So yeah, Aaron Rodgers being there, for Packers. I mean, that sounds like a lot actually. We're obviously going to go about the atmosphere in this game, but there were a lot of Bills fans in this game yesterday between the Bills and the Jags, and it just strikes me a lot of like last year from what I saw when I was in America, clips I saw of the Giants Packers games that you just referred to, where it seemed so Packer heavy again because Packers had never been in London before, and the Bills was only their second time, I believe, in London. So yeah, it just this game for me was it was so Bills heavy. I mean, I think every two people I saw were wearing Bills jerseys. It was just Bills, which is a good thing in a way. It meant it was a real home advantage. But yeah, I thought it was really, really Bills heavy. I don't know what you thought.
yeah, no, we were thinking that when we were walking sort of around the ground before the game. My mate was a bit like, because he's obviously used to the Jags being the home team every
Mm.
time. He's a Jags fan. He was like, "Is this a Bills home game?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh, that makes sense because they're everywhere." I mean, like the last time they were here, like I've been going since 2015. I think that they were here the year before, or either that year or the year before. So they haven't been here for a long time. So I was expecting quite a lot, but wasn't expecting the racket that we had behind us. I mean, the women behind us, she had some lungs on her. Like honestly, it's like scream every third down, screaming, bashing your seat and stuff like that. And you're like, okay, you got to chill. But it contributes to a good atmosphere, and you can understand why no one wants to go and play in Buffalo against those fans. Like,
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be experiencing that Bills home atmosphere in Orchard Park in literally about 15 days' time. It's Thursday night game
oh,
against the Bucks. Going with the friend of the show, David Caproche, who I actually met once again, like I did in Detroit last year. Met him in London this weekend, day before the game at the NFL Experience. So I'm looking forward to that. But I've been told, I think because of the noise that they've allowed the sort of the noise impact that they got in the stadium in Tottenham Stadium, that apparently those Bills fans from America telling people that actually it was louder in London than it's ever been in Buffalo, which really surprised me.
I mean, It does surprise me to an extent, but I mean, I've done the Tottenham Skywalk before, and they like where we walk around, where the cockerel and stuff like that, and they talk about how it's been like specially engineered to keep the noise in and push the noise in for like concerts and football and stuff like that. So it's not. It's good to see that it's actually working, because I came away like ears ringing, like couldn't hear properly for like a good few hours afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's been a lot of, I've been around the stadium today doing some media work, and even yesterday at the game. I think the general consensus was that that's the best ever London game for atmosphere. I mean, when I was at the post-match press conference, Travis Etienne was telling us that he couldn't even hear Trevor Lawrence on some of the plays, and that's how loud it was. Trevor Lawrence alluded to the same thing. But that for me is the best atmosphere I've ever experienced at a London game by a mile. I thought the Dolphins Jags was up there for me. I thought that was always the best. But I've been, this is my, I want to say now, I don't even know what it's, at least double digit game now in London. It's I've never experienced anything like that, and it was really loud. It felt like a home game as well. I thought it was, the Bills fans really travelled well, and I've been to a lot of games in America. I think for me, literally, I'd say probably only Arrowhead, maybe AT&T can beat that. I think, and maybe Lambeau Field as well. Literally, I'd say it was way louder than Jacksonville, even though that was pretty good. I do say most stadiums I've been to in America, I've never experienced an atmosphere like it for most of them. It was that good on that day. I thought it was extra special, and I think it made for a good game. I think we were robbed at the end of the Jags did win by 25 points to 20. I think we were robbed of a great ending with a Stephon Diggs. The play calling seemed crazy then to go for a short pass in a lateral, with no timeouts left. I believe it was like something like 25 seconds left of the game. It just seemed crazy to me that they did that, really. But the Bills, for a lot of the game, looked off the pace. The Jags looked much sharper. The Bills didn't get going really until second quarter, and I think third quarter was pretty much a non-event. No one scored any points in it. But yeah, I thought the Bills looked off their game, and a team that scored 3 weeks in a row. They've won games by 28 points or more in the last 3 games. And they've obviously beat us by 48 points to 20, which was not what I was expecting. But what was your take on the Bills' performance, Tom?
I was a bit disappointed by the Bills, to be honest, in the first 3 quarters. Definitely, they picked it up in the fourth quarter and gave us what we know they can do. Like high score, like I think they scored their touchdown in the fourth quarter. I think, was it Davis? It wasn't Dave.
Gabe Davis, yeah.
It was Dave. I swear it was like 45 seconds and 3 plays and 75 yards or something for them to score. And it was just like that's what they can do. Why haven't you been doing that the whole time? Because the run game wasn't working. Allen hadn't had a chance to start running. I mean, there was definitely that pick, that contested pick where Diggs and I can't remember who got the pick, but they went up for the ball.
It was Darius Williams, I want to say.
Or was it? They went up for the ball, and I looked on the replay. It looked like Diggs just gave up on the ball. If he'd actually fought for the ball, then it may well have been his catch, and that was like a 70-odd yard gain or something like that. But yeah, no, I think I was a bit disappointed. I mean, I felt a bit sorry for the Bills fans coming all this way to see them play in that way. But obviously, the Jags have been here a week or so, and the Bills haven't had to do a journey like that in quite a long time. Definitely not this season. So I think that probably played a factor. But yeah, no, overall, I was a bit disappointed. They were one of the teams I was desperate to see this year. It was the game I was desperate to go to. It was a tight game. It made for a good game in the end in the fourth quarter, because the fourth quarter was up there, one of the best fourth quarters I've seen in person. But no, overall, I think they left a little bit to be desired.
Yeah, I agree. And I think there's definitely been a discussion about sort of Bills when they got into London. I was speaking to friends of the show, Dan Filloy, who was actually sat next to me in the press box, which was quite nice. We're talking about how the fact that I believe they flew on the Friday morning, I believe, or something, or they arrived Friday morning, and their day off, I believe, on the Monday. Makes you wonder about a lot of teams do this. They come on the Thursday or Friday, and they often lose. But obviously, the Jags have that week advantage. You think, especially with that in mind, having them having an extra week, you think they would have got there. You could even have left straight after the game. So rather than going home after the Miami game, I think they could have easily just gone straight to London and done it that way. I think that would have been more than enough time to get accustomed to jet lag. I think that's way more than the time it takes. I want to say about normally 3 or 4 days on average for a Brit to go to America and deal with a jet lag and be fine. So I don't know whether that's something that you think more teams will do next year, Tom. What's your take on the fact they arrived so late into London?
I think it will be used as an example now, like of what not to do. I mean, making sure that you arrived early and you're prepared, and give the fans that travel with you the best experience they can have. I mean, that's the main thing, really. It's not about like how you're feeling; it's how the experience you give those fans who paid thousands of dollars to come over here. And it's like harder, especially places like Buffalo, sort of blue collar working class cities. Um, hard earned cash, hard earned money to come over here and see them play. And the planning just didn't seem there, especially after such a good performance like last 3 weeks. They gave us something like we saw in week one, which wasn't, it's not good enough, really.
Yeah, and I think that was also a result that I enjoyed. But I think they're definitely gonna. I think I think they're playing you guys next week. I think you guys probably picked the worst time to play them. They're going to be eager to win again next week. And yeah, I fear for you guys. But on the flip side, of course, we've mentioned the Bills a lot. We haven't mentioned the Jags yet, who did get the win. Now, of course, the main headline maker was Travis Etienne. I mean, Lawrence was good as well, but Etienne led the way with 136 rushing yards, and I believe he definitely got one, if not two touchdowns in this game as well. I thought he'd star the show, and I don't recall they did the usual play of the game vote they normally do. But I can imagine if there was one, it would have gone to him. I mean, what a performance from him. I mean, the Jags just tormented the Bills the whole game in that run game. And I mentioned it. I apologize, I'm going back to my media creds here, but I remember asking Doug Pearson about this, the fact that last week A-Chain in the Bills-Dolphins game gave the Bills for the first 2 quarters a lot of trouble, scored 2 touchdowns, and that run game kept the game level for a while until the Bills eventually ran away with it. And the same thing happened in this game in terms of they just couldn't handle the run. And there was that one type, particularly on the right-hand side, they give a lot of trouble to. And I don't really recall people like Tank Bigsby ever getting involved. It was all Etienne, and every time he just cut through them. And in the end, that just really helped when the clock down as well, and really helped the Jags, basically keep the ball out of Josh Allen's hands. And I thought that was really good game plan from the Bills. And fair play for sticking up the run as well. They didn't change their game. They kept running it and it kept working. And when it's working, why change? So yeah, for me, the Jags, they came into London off the back of 2 straight losses. They're now leaving London on the back of 2 wins. And they're playing the Colts next, who have just lost just lost yesterday. They lost Anthony Richardson. I believe that for a month, they're saying at the moment. So yeah, with that in mind, I mean, that's a huge 2 games to have, because now with Texans losing yesterday as well, I mean, they lost 19 to what's the score? 19 to, can't find the score online here. It's really bad. 19.
There was a couple of points.
21-19. I just found it now to the Falcons. The Falcons lost the Texans lost in the AFC South. We saw the Colts lose 16-23 to the Titans in the AFC South. Sorry, the Titans lost 23-16 to the Colts. You can tell it's been a long day for me here. I'm losing track, but with the Titans losing, with the Houston Texans losing, and the Colts winning but losing their quarterback for a month and having Gardner Minshew for a month, it's a great time to have got these 2 wins, because now they're going to be joint with the Titans 3-2, and I think with the Colts 3-2. I think is massive. I think it's a really big game next week for them. I think they could go into next week's game, potentially, a win clear of the rest of the pack. I mean, they're looking at now. They're playing the Colts. So in terms of that as well, I mean, that's a chance to go potentially a win clear them, but also potentially if Titans and Texans both lose, it's 2 wins clear already of the other team. So yeah, I think that's a big win for them, and I think that they definitely benefited from the extra week, and I think there's definitely reason why I think they would do it again next year. I can see Shad Khan, they'll definitely do it once a year, probably at Wembley, and I can see him again doing a second game. I think it worked so well this year. I can see him again doing it next year, and I think it's fair play to Jags. I mean, they had a tough start. Lost some games they probably shouldn't have lost. Well, on paper anyway, and they've gone out and got one really, really impressive win and one other good win. So for them, it's been a great time in London, and I think they're going to go. They must have flown back to Jacksonville yesterday, just on an ultimate high.
Yeah, no, and I say so. I think this is the last season that the Jags should be a shoe-in for that division title because I was looking a little bit disappointed with them when they lost to Houston, and I can't remember who else they lost to before at the start of the season. I know they beat the Colts, but they lost to the Chiefs as well, which is expected. But this is the final year I think that they'll have the elite QB and no one else in the division will, because I think Stroud's looked brilliant, Richardson's looked great, even though he can't seemingly stay on the field. Like a couple of times in the first 5 weeks he's been injured. So I think they'll have a real run for their money next year, but they need to take this opportunity to win what I think is quite an easy division at the moment and get themselves a decent playoff spot. They'll be on a massive high after coming back from here with two wins. Like, who wouldn't? It's a long way to go to lose, as the Bills fans found out yesterday, and as the Jags fans know. So they always seem to turn up here and give us a decent game. So I think on the whole of it, they'll be very happy. And if they can come out next week a win ahead, then I think it's early days, but I think the division should be theirs.
I agree completely. And I want to actually a quiz question for you. I want to ask you a quick quiz question. So you mentioned Stroud. Of course, he's now broken a record for the most consecutive. I don't know whether I believe it was most consecutive. I think it was passing attempts without an interception in someone's career. So Stroud was first. 2 was 5th. Tom Brady was 3rd. And the second one's passed by
Kurt Warner.
But can you guess? I'm guessing you might have seen it already. Can you guess who was 4th in this list?
Yeah, it was Prescott, wasn't it?
I know Dak was 2nd. Tom Brady was 3rd. 2 was.
I thought Warner was 2nd. Brady was 3rd. That was 4th.
Maybe I'm thinking of different. See Stroud record.
I might have it wrong.
Oh, I think it says TJ Stroud sets record for passes without pick. There's a reason why I think it might be so Dak Prescott 2nd. I'm going to actually Google this. Apologies, listeners. Passing. Yeah, I should have really taken a screenshot yesterday when I was watching it in a pub. This is without pick in NFL career. So it's not telling me who's top 5. If you can beg me if I can't find. Me just really search Twitter here. This might be the worst part of the podcast anyone's ever heard. I mean, it's awfully unprepared by myself. Let me find out. So, CJ Brown. Google this person's name, see whether this comes up on Twitter. Here we are. So CJ Stroud has attempted 151 passes this season without throwing a single interception. Obviously, this is actually before this game happened, so it's obviously more than that since. But it's basically a record for most consecutive pass attempts without an interception in the beginning of the career. So Prescott obviously was first, now 2nd. Tom Brady was 3rd with 162. Tua was 5th with 152. Can you name me who was 4th in this list? And I think it's unless you watch the Red Zone stream, I don't think anyone can get this.
I could have sworn it was Prescott. Was it not? Was it Young?
No, not Young.
Was it Curran?
No. Actually, I think he might be a backup now, but yeah, I think he's still playing. I believe actually.
Oh no, I do remember. Is Chad Henne?
No, I believe he was involved in one of the teams yesterday. I believe he's on this team's the backup on this team. I've got a feeling.
I swear, Panthers. He played in London with the Panthers. I swear.
Yeah, you're on the right lines here. If you want a clue, think of who was playing in the game, surname wise.
I went to that game as well. Panthers Bucks.
think of yesterday, who was playing in the game, surname wise, in the quarterback position.
Lawrence and Allen. Oh, no, his first name's gone.
Kyle Allen.
Kyle Allen.
I was watching. I was in the pub yesterday with a couple from Fins Nation UK, but also Freddie from Franchise Tag, who has been on the podcast a fair few times, and we just couldn't believe that Kyle Allen somehow on his list. Couldn't believe it. It was crazy, seemed crazy to me. But yeah, fair play to Stroud though. I think Stroud looks a real deal. I must admit. I mean, I was high on him in our mock draft. I said at the time I genuinely think he's probably a better quarterback than Bryce Young. But Bryce Young was obviously the consensus #1 pick. But so far, albeit only 5-6 games into his career, he looks really good.
Yeah, I think Stroud and Richardson both look better than Young at the moment. I think it's the Panthers are just chaotic, seem to be chaotic at the moment. They played okay yesterday, but I think they're still room for improvement there. But I think Stroud and Richardson have both gone in and elevated their teams, which I think is a really key indicator of what they're going to be like moving on. Like Patrick Mahomes went in and did that, and Dak Prescott went in and did that, even though he's mid to below average, as are the Cowboys. But yeah, no, it's going to be a really exciting. I'm glad they're both in the AFC. Put it that way.
I wish they weren't. But yeah, I think Richardson, I know he's been injured a lot, but I think he looks an absolute dog. And as a Gators fan, I'm really hoping he does well, but not at the cost of my own team. But in terms of other results, in terms of the other 6 p.m. slate, I mean, the Detroit Lions are 4-1, which that's crazy as they beat the Panthers 42-24. The New Orleans Saints destroyed the Patriots 34 points to 30, and a late fumble from Lamar Jackson meant that Pittsburgh Steelers won by 17 points to 10 in that game. The other games to talk about, late games, the Eagles beat the Rams 23-14. The Bengals got back to winning ways with a 34-20 win over the Arizona Cardinals. And the Chiefs beat the Vikings despite an injury scare to Travis Kelce, 27 points to 20. And Sunday Night Football saw the Dallas Cowboys destroyed by the 49ers, who are, for me now, I think the best team of football, I think by some distance. 42 points to 10. McCaffrey set a record, 14 consecutive games with a touchdown, and they've once again scored more than 30 points, which they've done every game this year so far. There was one game to come tonight, so 1:15 a.m. Tuesday morning for us Brits, and in America that is, I believe it's 8:15 a.m. Eastern and 5:15 p.m. Pacific. But the two games left to focus on, and the main reason why I brought Tom on this week was the Dolphins Giants, which involves, of course, both our teams. As the Dolphins convincingly, mostly beat the Giants 31 points to 16. Now, Tom, your thoughts on the game as your team is now 1-4.
Yeah. Where'd you start, to be honest? I mean, it's very obvious that last year was now. It's very obvious now that last year was a fluke. The offensive line is shocking. Daniel Jones' quarterback play, he's regressed back to what he was when he was rookie second year quarterback. Darren Waller played better, but he's gone missing ever since he signed for New York. I don't even think putting Barkley into the mix will make a difference, to be honest. I feel really sorry for Dable because he's obviously a fantastic coach, and I really hope that the Mara family give him time to fix this, whatever it is. But I think, the season's written off now, I'd say. The division's too strong. We scored 3 points at home in 2 games or something rubbish. Like unless we scored more against Seattle, I turned it off after a little while. But no, yeah, it's just back to same old, really. Miami have looked very good this season anyway. They're very high scoring. Like you put 70 past Denver, who are also shocking, but no one put 70 past anyone. So it's just even the defense are looking like awful, and I think that was our one really strong point last year. They just can't seem to get anything going. Like, off, yeah, I have nothing positive to say, really. Which is a shame because I came in with the predictions and stuff this year, hoping to build on what we made happen last year. And yeah, no, it's just Giants, New York football.
Yeah, I mean, it's, the Bills. I mentioned you got Bills next week. That's probably going to be a 1 of 5 start. I mean, it's.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not watching that. I'm not going to
I
near
couldn't
that.
blame you. Oh, yeah, I mean, it's tough because, as you say, last year you did so well. You got the playoffs, you beat the Vikings, got in the divisional round. And I think that there's a lot of players. You rarely see it with quarterback because rarely quarterbacks have this issue, but a lot of people who have a contract year, they raise their game, and then when that contract's given, they've got that second deal down the other way, and they sometimes never recover. And he became the first quarterback in the NFL history to sign a new contract with the same team who had not exercised their 50 options. He did so well last year, and I was really behind him to do well. And I was really hoping he would do something, but yeah, it's not been good. And I think Saquon may have made it maybe 2 and 3 start at best. I don't think it would have been maybe 1 or 4 if he had Saquon playing at the start, but certainly don't think that, with that offensive line, I don't think he's going to get much luck anywhere. I think it'd be very much a poor output, whatever. And I think that it's a shame because Daboll's going to be probably affected by this. And I do worry about his tenure, because if teams as bad as this is now, come next year and the year after that, if it's still bad, if the team is still, defensive line is still not doing well, then I think that he could be a victim of that. But defensive line, for me, it's confusing because you've drafted a lot of linemen in the first round, in the first 2 rounds of the draft in the last few years. You've invested a lot in the draft in your line, and it seems to not have worked at all. And it's Evan Neal, I don't believe has done much to really write home about. You watch him more than I do, but I don't remember seeing anything of Evan Neal positive, recently, and he's especially this season. It's just Daniel Jones has the ability to use his legs, but how can you use his legs when you've got no one to block for you and no one to protect you that way?
Yeah, and I mean, Neil's resorted to calling out the fans now as well, isn't he? Which is always a great idea in New York. He's yeah, he just hasn't lived up to it. I mean, he's a first round pick. I mean, we really miss Thomas as well. Andrew Thomas is the only O lineman I think we've drafted in the last 10 years or so who actually looks like he can do something. Been really disappointed with Hyatt as well at wide receiver. He just hasn't been. He's one of those with quite a lot of hype when we drafted him, and now to come in and just do absolutely nothing. It's really disappointing to see. But yeah, I think we're just always going to be one of those teams. Like especially Wink Martindale as well is massively regressed as a defensive play caller as well. I mean, he doesn't seem like he's got a grasp of what's going on. The play call is always wrong, and even if it isn't, the execution poor. So I have a feeling that Daboll will be one of those that sticks around because I think he's shown something more than McAdoo and Shermer did, and like he's shown a little bit more fight and a little bit more of what we're looking for. But it's going to take time to build that team. I hope they do what the Bengals did and give them time, and hope maybe if we're poor enough this year we can get one of the top 2 quarterbacks because we're going that way. So we'll see. We just got to see how it turns out. But I think if we end up in 3 weeks' time, if we've lost 3 more games, I think the tank has got to be well and truly on. Like, despite the talent we've got, I think it's just got to be cut your losses and start again.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's not going to get. I mean, the schedule's actually it's not. You got the Jets, who I know they got a good defense, but it's still Zach Wilson. Commanders have been a bit hit and miss. The Raiders, you got the Commanders twice actually. The Patriots haven't been too convincing. Saints and Packers have been very hit and miss. The Rams, Eagles, Feders might lose those games against them, but I think the schedule didn't seem too bad. But at the same time, lose the Bills next week, that's probably one. And even look at the win you did get, I was at that game. I mean, that should have been a loss. Any other team would have put you away. I mean, that first half, 80 total yards, only 25 yards rushing. I mean, you guys were terrible. And if a team wasn't the Cardinals, if it was, most teams in the league, even the Broncos, I think, would have put you away. And they've been awful. So you really should be 0-5 in most years, and you probably go 1-6 against the Bills. The Commanders, they have had some good moments. They had the Broncos game and the Cardinals game, so you could see them winning that. I think but I think the Jets could beat you just purely on defense and run game. I think the Raiders, Garoppolo, I don't think as bad as advertised, but I don't think he's great. But I think he could do something, especially with Devontae Adams. The Cowboys have still got a great team and a great defense. Patriots, have their moments, and they gave us probably one of our hardest games this season in week 2. So yeah, it could get even worse. But I still think you guys will still finish with maybe the 6th, 7th worst records. I don't think it'd be maybe bad enough to get number 1 overall pick, but you never know. You never know. It could go really south. But on the flip side, of course, I have to mention our performance. I will mention it in a lot more detail in Fins Nation this week, in the Fins Nation UK podcast. Do check it out if you are a Dolphins fan. But I thought, again, it was back to what we know. I think Tua wasn't at his best. So 2 interceptions. One of them was, I think, might be the worst throw of his career. It was awful. Literally, it wasn't like one of those ones where someone gets a little nick to the ball and, it's taking a little hip deflection and it's come to a player. Literally, no one was even near him, and he threw it massively, trying to find Waddle. But apart from that, I thought our defense was really good. Andrew Van Ginkel, I thought was brilliant in that game. And obviously he was part of the I think it was 2 or 3 of them that got Daniel Jones down, which ultimately ended his day. But my main thing, I've got to praise Devon A-Chain. Tyreek Hill, we all know what he's about. He got that amazing touchdown, and the speed, once again, the speed is just there to see just how effective it is. But A-Chain, another touchdown, his 3rd straight game with a touchdown. And I think it's, really positive times on that, because we've struggled for a run game for so many years. Since Jay Ajayi left, our run game has been pretty much non-existent. Now we've got 2 really good running backs, and for me, probably right now, maybe the 2nd or 3rd best running back of the entire draft class this year. He's been so good. And, looking even further, he's got the most rushing yards this year. Tua's got the most passing yards, and Hill's got the most receiving yards. Or maybe A-Chain 2nd or something. But, it's been such 4-1. I've never seen us go 4-1 before in my life. It's been an amazing start to the year. And, we've got the Panthers next week, so that should be 5-1 before we then face Philly and Kansas City. So that'll probably change. But yeah, I've got to be really happy with the start we've made. And A-Chain, the speed of these guys. A-Chain's over 20 miles an hour on average this season. Same with Hill and Waddle and all the rest. It's just been, all the entire suffering. It looks like finally the year where I can actually see us actually win a division. I think the Bills probably still win it, but I think we'll be in contention again as long as Tua stays healthy. So for me, I can't be more positive. I think, maybe I'd like to have seen Tua not throw those picks, because that's been one of his strengths this year up until this game. But yeah, certainly can't really fault that performance. Finally, we've got about 2 minutes left of recording, but quickly want to focus on our last game we haven't mentioned yet, which is going to be the Jets against the Broncos. it was the Sean Payton, Nathaniel Hackett rivalry grudge match, you could say, and obviously the Jets came out with the win, 31 points to 21 in the Wilson Bowl. I don't think I've seen ever before both quarterbacks, apart from the Manning brothers, playing each other. I've only seen the game where both starting quarterbacks have the same surname, but it was just even though the Jets, I don't like him seeing win, I was really happy to see Nathaniel Hackett have that last word over Payton, because I think what Payton did was breaking the coach's code, and I thought it was outright pretty much a thing you shouldn't be saying. I thought it was pretty disgraceful. So I was happy for Hackett and no one else in that Jets team for getting the win.
Yeah, no, so was I. Payton did was completely out of order, and as Jamie Vardy says, chat shit, get banged. So, I said that in the most posh way possible. We're like, if you can't back it up, then don't chat shit about other coaches. They're always going to come, especially if they've got a better team than you and you're playing them. So
crazy,
yeah, no, insane. But I'm glad that they're not doing well, really, because I think he's come across as quite an unlikable guy in the past 3 or 4 months or so.
I'd agree. And you mentioned about being the worst coaching job. Hackett never gave up 70 points, and Broncos are now the most penalised team in the league. So I think Payton, is going to probably regret coming out of retirement right now. It's not going his way, and I don't really see where it's going to improve. Wilson's looked better, the one positive, but apart from that, it's been pretty shambolic. But that is where we'll end the episode for today. So first of all, thank you, Tom, for coming on, first of all.
No worries. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
No problem at all. And yeah, we look forward to bringing you our next episode, and we will see you guys then. Take care.